interest in getting into BJJ. So it'd definitely be something that I'm looking forward to. Just have to do the one thing that struggles for me is maintain my time, having to get that time frame down and then getting into a routine.
Sure. We can all get overwhelmed and busy and all those sort of things. Awesome, Randall. I want to shift gears now, guys, for our last half hour, because this one's going to get heated. It's getting heated. Let me take the moment just to remind all our viewers, hey, we're supported by Super Chats. Please like, subscribe, and share. Every one of these guys run a YouTube channel. We do this because we enjoy not only interacting with each other, as you heard, it is a hobby of ours, but we can share some insights that you might enjoy while you're off doing your work, listening to this podcast. It is long format panel show, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but there are gems here. So be sure and like, subscribe, and super chat. So let's get into the next element. So we have men's hobbies, guys, and men's hobbies are necessary. I want to talk about why. When you really get into these men's spaces, women seem to enter these spaces at a regular frequency, particularly for what reason do they do this? But I see this happening a lot. Women want to get into these men's spaces wherever men have created a hobby. And I am not opposed to having women enter certain hobbies and things like that. I think it's good for them too. But what do you guys think about that? I've seen it happen before. You'll have a pretty hardcore group of guys enjoying the hobby, and the gals want to come along. It changes things when gals get into the hobby.
They are the pick-me girls of that hobby. They are the pick-me girls of that hobby. They want to be picked by they see, oh, I find these kind of guys attractive that are into these things. Let me get into these spaces so I could be a pick-me girl for these guys. Remember back in the day, Wraith, you guys probably know this. The gym was not really full of women before. No. Then women started going to the gym. Now, I will tell you, the bathrooms in the gym are a great place to smash a chick.
Hey, shh. Rules of Fight Club. I engaged the second rule of Fight Club, Glenn.
Okay, I'll be quiet now.
Yeah, no. Gyms are kind of a relatively safe space. I think that they've seen it that way. And even though look, gyms want to sell memberships, Glenn, men and women, right? I mean, you have to hit the marketplace for sure. Mm-hmm. We used to have segmented by sex gyms. Remember when they had girl gyms and guy gyms? You guys probably don't.
Wasn't it like Valley Total Fitness, like a chick gym? Or was that just Paul's gym?
Well,
Curves.
You would know.
I remember this guy. They used to have this huge chain before even Gold's. It was called Jack LaLanne's, and they had a men's side and a woman's side. And the woman's side was really tiny because there wasn't very many women in there, and they just sat on rollers basically. Wraith, you're old enough. Do you remember when they had men's gymnasiums and women's?
Yeah, it used to be like even the Ys were separated into YWCA.
Yes, they were. Right. And their primary reason, because I mean, if you were around then, you'd ask why, and it was for distraction, sexual distraction. If there's a woman there, you'll be sexually distracted, and if a woman's there, she's going to want to, she's going to talk to men. Men will look at her. It'll be polite to engage, and there's a distraction. There is a distraction
placate to her too.
Yeah.
Well, it's also good for guys like. You're in the gym, you're working out, and then you see this hot chick, and you're like, now you're gonna peacock, right? Now you're gonna stunt a little bit. You're gonna flex a little bit more, like Viking Dad, right? And be like, oh yeah, watch this. I'm gonna make her panties.
That's a part of the problem with women.
Glenn, hold my pre-workout.
Exactly.
That's a part of the problem with having women in men's spaces, though, because men stop being men and having that normal interaction that men do, and now all of a sudden it's a competition thing, and now they start getting into the rut. You know what I mean? They start butting heads and trying to out amog each other and stuff, and it just ruins the dynamic.
Right.
I will say the problem with women in men's spaces at times is that men seem to defer authority to these women in these men's spaces. I mean, just look at the manosphere, right? we have tons of females now in this space
It's the same
telling
thing.
men how to be better men.
That is a big problem.
And you'll see a lot of times in these situations, just like actually, I was just talking about a situation with my lady the other day where you have a female running the youth football program. She's the president. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she's running it because no man wanted to do it. That's pretty much what the answer was every time. I was like, really? There's no dude that wants to run it. And so anyway, she is running it in the ground. So now all the guys are starting to pull their kids out of that program and going to the travel ball team and not being in that team. And it brought to mind the things that we talk about is what women do is they will infiltrate a man's space. They will set up a protocol for how everybody is supposed to act and everything's supposed to work. They will run it into the ground, and just before it gets above head high and everybody's going to die, they jump off.
Yeah, I've seen that too, actually. You know, it's kind of hard to describe, but I've seen it happen. Now, yeah, definitely. I definitely seen that in a lot of male-dominated hobbies recently, and I certainly wouldn't want to go back to segmented stuff. I actually think it's good that women want to get involved in spaces. It's just men have to realize when women are involved, it changes things. It changes.
Well, look
everything.
at the NFL.
It changes,
right? The NFL is now pussified to a degree,
Female
right? And we have female referees, like, or in college football, we had that female kicker, right?
Yeah.
And then her career ended really quickly, didn't it? You know, and everybody was like, oh, we got to work on tackling techniques now. We can't injure people. Shut up. This is what we do as men. We go tackle. We do this shit. We are okay with it. We know full aware what we're getting ourselves into, you know, like, but you're right. Cause when my son was playing football and I was his football coach, and we didn't allow the moms, you could be a team mom, bring the fucking snacks, bring the oranges and the Capri Suns. That's about it. You don't get to have a say so of what we're doing on the field. All right. If Timmy is hurt, we'll let you know. Timmy will sit out. Okay. But if Timmy's, walking a little bit and he's fine, we're going to go send him right back out there because we're toughing that boy up.
Yeah.
Like moms ruin sports for kids with the participation trophies and all that other nonsense. They ruin it. So in a way, women do ruin men's spaces only when men don't enforce, like, no, this is our space. You're a guest here.
Yeah, men definitely need their own spaces. There are some hobbies that are set up to be fine co-ed. I mean, obviously, snow skiing easily. You do it by yourself, essentially, and you only congregate in the social areas. But yeah, stuff like that you could certainly do. But yeah, there are definitely women that invade these spaces. Now, somebody mentioned in the chat, I think it's Men's Shrine, and this is true. Been around long enough, been involved long enough that men have shied away, especially from co-ed sports. They definitely want to stay away from that because of the Me Too, this overblown abuse. Men being accused of emotional abuse has spread into youth sports in which men used to shine as coaches. But guess what? They can't even mentor and do that anymore, at least in a state like mine where you can't really, any sort of speech could be considered abuse. There is no leeway for you to really interact with the youth today without that kind of risk. Very unfortunate, but it's led to a lot of folks just leaving the state or not doing it at all.
The only co-ed space that they should be in is in ballroom dancing or salsaing with Nuke.
With Nuke. But I was going to say, we also didn't mention the White Knights.
Glenn got canceled.
Yeah, white Knights.
Yeah, we always get like the White Knights when not even in physical competition, even in like say like Magic the Gathering. I'm a big fan of that. Like their online space is ran by a chick, and you can't even do anything without getting the ban hammer.
It changes everything, doesn't it? Because like when we do some gaming, I mean, there was gaming spaces that used a lot of imagination back in the day. I'll just use the old stuff like the Dungeons and Dragons or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. That was kind of a boy space for a long time, and it was really imagination driven. When women entered that space, the very few could actually do it well. but it changes everything. You can't be as loose and as free with your language, your talk, your rhetoric, your shit talk, because it's always taken personally at some level and then put them in charge of the whole thing. And now there are arbitrary rules that don't really fit men's nature. And so I see that whole gaming space completely changed. Now, while from a commercial perspective, you might sell more games, sell more this, sell more that, it does kind of soften the game to where it's not what it used to be.
When I was in the Navy, when I first got to my ship, we were an all-male ship. We were an all-male crew. This was on the USS Shiloh in '98. And when we were coming back from deployment, we knew that we were going to go to dry dock and get refitted for females. And they're going to take one of the berthings and make it a women's berthing, and then they're going to add some women's officer staterooms and stuff like that. And the guys were deathly afraid of it. They were like, oh my God, we're not going to be able to say what we want anymore. We're going to have to worry about offending these chicks. And there's a little truth to that. Like some women will get offended easily, but for the most part, a lot of female sailors talk just like the guys, honestly. And when the chicks came on board, this was a benefit. This was actually a benefit, I think, because it started smelling better. Guys actually started taking, consideration of their own hygiene, which is important because they weren't doing that as much before. So that was a benefit. But yeah, there was something to it. It definitely changed the whole dynamic of the crew.
Yeah, they're starting to integrate females on submarines when I was getting out. So the Ohios were the perfect candidate for it because of having the bunk rooms set up inside the submarines. Everybody else has got the fast boats have what they call hot racking. Three guys share 2 racks. Yeah. But the Ohios, each person had their own bunk. Yeah,
Glenn's used to sharing racks with men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you know what's really interesting is what you guys say is it's been popular for the last 20 years is to deny human nature, especially intersexual dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
There is a nature here that cannot be denied over time. It blows my mind that that's what we do, but then act surprised when something has happened. It's like, yeah, there is such a thing as gravity. You can see it in our space too. Billy had mentioned, it even ruined so-called pickup spaces, where we had forums and stuff. Women have definitely invaded it. You can see it all over Instagram right now. Even you can see these female coaches that look like the girl next door. They're selling themselves as the girl next door. You can get this high value woman. Just listen to me. It definitely changed that entire dynamic of sharing notes. It's no longer sharing notes like it used to be.
Marnie, the wing girl.
Not her. I mean,
I know.
Yeah,
they're all over TikTok.
You could even
the women's dating coaches and stuff. Yeah,
it's not just her. You got
and that's the thing.
Use word salad and actually act like they're talking to women and directing it towards men.
It's so bad.
It's pretty wild. And here's the thing: there's such an era of desperation because men don't have hobbies. This becomes a hope, a cope, a hope. I don't like using cope so much because that means efficiently dealing with a difficult situation. And it's not necessarily that they're efficiently dealing with it, but they're spending money on the promise of something that is never going to happen. That's why OnlyFans works, right? So I see this whole female dating coach thing online. If you listen to them, there's really no substance whatsoever. They might pick 1 or 2 grains of truth from human intersexual dynamics, and then they add their perspective. Remember, they can't see anything except as it filters through their own personal in me filter. It happened to me. If it doesn't happen to me, it doesn't exist anywhere else. It's the apex fallacy. It's all those wrapped into, and now repackage it. Look at me. I'm cute. You could have somebody like me if you just listen to me because that's the filter that I use. And man, I cannot believe how successful that actually is. It's pretty wild. And that's women invading
Respect
a man's
the game.
space.
Respect the game.
I do. But I mean,
that is a grift.
When we exchange notes, it was men exchanging notes. Very useful to us. It wasn't useful to the women. In fact, it was offensive. You guys would exchange notes on that, We just expect you to know it. So, we got a super chat. Let's get to it. Oh, man, it's my buddy. Danny Arnold. It was all meant to be funny when the R Gang had the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we actually need a few no broads allowed places for CIS, hetero, and masculine brethren. I would agree. What did we have? Was a few years ago, we had the Married with Children, which was a big take on the problems that modern marriage presents to men. And what did he form? He formed the
No Ma'am.
No Ma'am organization. Of course, they portrayed him as a buffoon, but they actually had some writing that was interesting. When the fat chicks came in to get their shoes on, I would say it was expressing a dominant masculine presence, and it was fucking golden. Some of those clips are amazing. And by the way, I actually got to roll in jiu-jitsu with Ed O'Neill. He's a freaking black belt today. He's 3 years older than me. Amazing.
My dad, when back when Married with Children came out, my dad came up with his own group called AHA, Abused Husbands of America, which at the time was funny, and now I look back on it, it's really actually pretty sad.
Because it's reality.
You got to think about too, like what you got to kind of put your head in the headspace of a woman and their dating strategies and stuff. Why do they want into these spaces? Why would a woman want in Magic the Gathering? Okay, why would a woman want in CrossFit? All these things that normally a woman would not care anything about. And if you socialize with those women and you talk to them and you kind of get them to open up to you like a man with game can do, they will tell you exactly why they're in that space. And 9 times out of 10, to get men.
You're right.
And those women are banging all of those dudes in that thing. And then they just rotate on out.
I saw that in CrossFit too. Very social environment, by the way. There's a lot of advantage to that CrossFit environment, except I don't like the injury prone part. And that's one of the reasons when, guys, when you're doing competitions, fantastic with men. But when you're like my age, the weight doesn't matter. It's the intensity. Don't get hurt. Don't get hurt. Injury avoidance is key. One of these days, we're going to do something on weightlifting and how to be successful and sustain it. As you age and you get to a certain age, somebody in their 50s, if you tear an Achilles tendon or pull a quad, you're done squatting forever, rest of your life. Yeah. So it's very important you don't get wrapped up into the ego lift.
When you get to a certain age, if you'll just do the injections right there, a lot of times.
Exactly. Well, now we can talk. That's behind the paywall, right?
I just wanted to add, even for the co-gender things like salsa and music and stuff like that, where both men and women are kind of equal, there's still kind of like a emasculation in that, because like you'll go to salsa night now and some women will, like, you'll be grabbing them by the waist and they'll lift your hand higher up their back because they don't want to be touched a certain way. And I'm like, this is literally a sexual sensual dance. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm not here to
sorry.
Wow.
And even in here in Texas, two-step is really big. So it's like, even in those spaces, there's like people that are like posting on Instagram, like, here are the rules for dancing with women. I'm just like, are you serious? Like, no, I'm not. It's not about rules.
Thirsty Armadillo's got art, that now in Fort Worth.
Yeah,
like, that's where they do all the two-step on Friday and Saturday nights.
That was the dancing.
I bet you there's like
the dad on the Addams Family. That was the dancing that he did to the wife because they were all inappropriate to each other, loving each other all the time. That's the most sensual form of dancing. And she's like, don't touch me.
And you see that. Yeah, go ahead, Thor.
Well, it's interesting. I've been pondering this too. It's not part of the show. We'll have to do an episode on this because, with the prevalence of Instagram, the revealing of much nudity online, in real life, I actually see a trend towards neo-prudism or neo-Victorian era type ethics and morality, to where no touching, no looking, no revealing of anything, which I find really kind of
Nico's channel.
Yeah, it's something bizarre going on because, you go online, it's all there. I have no issue with any forms of nudity at all. It doesn't bother me. Body's a body. I don't give a shit. There's an appropriate place for modesty and there's a place where you don't need it at all. But yeah, there's a huge extreme right now. When you go online, it's all on the table. You go in real life, like you're saying, don't touch me, don't look at me in a certain way. I haven't quite put my finger on it, but it is a shift that's going on. It wouldn't surprise me to see a new a neo-Victorian era start to creep back up as a response to all this online stuff.
Yeah, it's just like it's just really sad that like in a dance where you're putting rules on like art. It's like when you're painting a picture and they're like, you can't use the color blue or you can't use orange. Good luck.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that's not what. Don't put rules on. Obviously, don't be a creep and a weirdo, right? But like, hey, if I'm spinning you around and I'm leading you in dance, whether it be two-step, salsa, whatever dance, tango, whatever, there's a chance that I might my hand may land on your butt, and it's just
exactly.
It is what it is. Yeah, it is.
There's rules, essential things, and it's like, come on, man. That blows me away. If we're gonna have sex, we got to kiss. Okay, it's no separation.
What happens in mixed martial arts? Because now they have.
If we're having sports sex, kissing's involved. All right.
They have intergender MMA classes now. What happens there?
I have participated in those. Those are interesting.
If you're rolling around with a girl and all of a sudden, you grab something, like, what are they going to do? Don't touch me there.
No, when it was handled.
From my experience at my gym, the girls that do the MMA rolling in BJJ, they kind of expect it.
Yeah,
like they kind of know when you're being malicious, and they kind of know when it's incidental.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't know about your place, AJ, but when we did it, it was rare. We would do it, but mostly they'd stick because they were focused on the sports side. The times where they would intergender was in self-defense. There is a self-defense category of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is very different than the sports side. And it's mostly to teach the girls what you're actually up against if you're going to be rolling with a man. And even they might have extreme levels of skill. There are still issues they have, and it's about teaching them. They're going to get touched, they're going to get moved, and the girls that did it were always really good about that. I've never seen anything happen there, because for them to even get to that level where they start doing the intergender self-defense side, I just don't see it being an issue for them because they've already gone way past that. But at least that's in the formal setting. I would imagine if there was privates and things like that, who knows? What has been your experience, AJ? You're doing the intergender stuff now. Is it real common, or do they?
Yeah, like for me, like between both gyms I've gone to, the first time I ever sparred was up against a lady mid 30s, I'm assuming, and it's like, boom, oops, her breast hit my arm. It's like, I'm like, so sorry. She's like, oh, no worries, that kind of thing, and then
we're doing
and then proceeded to choke me out 3 times.
Exactly. I mean, you don't get any closer than jiu-jitsu except maybe when you're having sex. That's it. Yeah. So, I mean,
especially no-gi.
Oh, I like no-gi.
Yeah, with the regular sweats and stuff.
Yeah. Or just wearing the rash guards. That's a different
the rash guards.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is actually pretty challenging.
Yeah, you can't grab onto anything. You're literally trying to like hook them with like monkey hands around the neck or grab the wrist.
And if you're doing the real self-defense side of jiu-jitsu, you better have your hair tied back, because if not, it's getting grabbed. That's a legitimate tactic.
Same with beards.
Same with your beard, and the same with your breast. If it's out, it's grabbable. It's just part of the deal. People would find that. Yeah,
my beard's numb from all the grabbing, so it's okay.
Yeah, do you guys ponytail it or anything? Your beards when you're doing jits?
Mine's not quite long enough.
Nah.
Yeah, because
I use it as a defense. I can't find the neck if it's covered.
Yeah,
they usually my chin.
It makes it easy to slip out, right? Yeah, it makes it easy to slip out. All right, cool. Yeah, the women definitely change that space, though. Guys will hold back. I saw in that space, since it is such close contact. And I guess with what Nuke is saying, it really puzzles me though with the salsa thing, because I did like one class that is the most sensual. It's an amazing thing. I think that would be a super good hobby to get if you want to learn presence with a woman, because it teaches you that pacing, all of those things. I mean, I would love to do it even now. The pacing, all of those sort of things. It's really nuanced, isn't it?
I would want every male feminist to learn salsa and see how BS feminism is, because they'll look when you're dancing salsa, no matter how masculine the girl is, she's going to look in your eyes and say, "Please lead me with your eyes."
Here
Like,
you go.
Is like the
your part.
one of the
Mm-hmm.
every
They
male
grab your
feminist
hand
we
and
send
then
them
they look
to
at you.
ballroom dancing school. Yeah, like whether it be two-step, salsa, bachata, tango, whatever, send them to that school and tell them, "You're in charge, motherfucker. You're in charge of this girl, and if you can't lead her, then what are you doing?" Right? So yeah.
Oh, I'd love to do that, man. That would be a fun hobby. I do. I think that would be really fucking cool. I only had one lesson, but that was really cool. Yeah.
He touched her the wrong way and he just quit.
Touched the wrong way. That kind of blows me away. Obviously, they haven't been dancing that much if they want you to touch them a certain way. If they knew, they would do it, right?
Yeah.
They touched Thor the wrong way, and Thor's like, "This is harassment. I'm done here."
Yeah, they got canceled.
Now. Depends on how they hold the meat hammer.
No.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, guys, let's do it. Let's do a wrap up, man. We'll do a quick roundtable. Plug your stuff. Male hobbies. Male hobbies is really important. I love having these type of conversations. I think it's really important, and I appreciate everybody coming on the panel and sharing their experiences. And this time next year, we'll have some new hobbies to talk about because we're always changing these things up. So let's get started. AJ, give us your final thoughts, man. Appreciate you coming. Plug your channel. Where can everybody find you? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. So they can find me at Arm Details on YouTube, or I have my Instagram as well, the at AJMK6R20 on IG. I usually post when I go to the gym. Sometimes I'll post up my dog and some other things I'm into. And then hopefully my YouTube's good to go. I'll probably do my first solo live stream tomorrow.
Fantastic. Thank you, AJ. Appreciate that. Look forward to seeing you on the Dragon Ship again in the future, as soon as you can. Wraith, what do you got going on, man? Where can we find you? I know you got plenty happening. You got your group going. Let us know.
Yeah, I got a group going on Telegram, and you can find me on Telegram at Wraith_Detour, Wraith_Detour, Yahoo, Wraith_Detour, Instagram, Wraith_Detour, Facebook. So if you want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me those ways. I do a little bit of consulting and coaching with guys to try to get them to change their mindset and to heal. So
appreciate you for coming on. Thank you again, Wraith. Really enjoy what's going on there. Let's go ahead and talk to Viking Dad. This is your first episode. I hope that you can jump in here in the future. Join Telegram, send me a DM, and we like hearing from you, man.
Definitely. You can find me on Twitter most of the time, Viking Dad Wisdom, and on YouTube, same name. And then you can find me on Instagram, Viking Dad Fitness. I kind of do some different stuff on the Instagram, memes and workouts and things like that. But I'm picking the YouTube back up now, so I'll be doing videos on there a lot of times. So going forward.
Nice. Appreciate that. Thank you for coming on. We're going to go to the next one. Let's see here. Who we got going? Randall. Give us a clue. Where can we find you? I know you've been traveling, man. Give us a little preview of where you've been and where you're going and where we can find you. All right.
So I spent some time in Dallas. Was hanging out with some guys from, you guys know him, Phil. Phil and his group of guys. We hung out and spent some time together, and then I went down to Cancun for 10 days. I was down there doing some yoga out on the beach, and then spent the rest of the time in the pool drinking. So
that's great, man.
It was a good time down there, but I'm back in Phoenix for now, working out and working. You can find me on Instagram at Talon the Titan. And then you can find me here every Saturday. All right.
Thank you, Randall. Really appreciate that. And of course, Nuke, tell us what's happening, my brother. Where can we find you? What do you got going?
Hey guys, first of all, I appreciate being on here. You guys can find me on twitter.com/CalilloNuclear, like on the screen, or on YouTube, same name. Also, you can find me on Instagram, Nuclear Calillo, Twitch, all that stuff. I do have a Patreon, so if you guys just whatever you want. You guys want to talk about women, talk about how to date, whatever, just hit me up there. And then, yeah, I'm just producing videos and just talking about stuff, causing havoc on Twitter. I love to kind of cut the bullshit out on Twitter and kind of put my thoughts out there, and people like it. So yeah, that's where you guys can find me. So yeah.
Fantastic. Shout out to D's Knives. Thank you for joining up and enjoying the show, man. Hope to see you back. And let's get to Paul, my Come On Man podcast brother. And we'll see, man. We're going to see him soon at the Summer Smash.
Yeah. Defending my world, my undisputed world Manosphere championship title in September in Las Vegas against that jabroni Glenn Lawrence. He's the number one contender, so he's first in line. There's a whole bunch of guys that want this title right here. There's only one.
Look at that.
Real world championship. Okay. It's legit. It's legit. So that's going down. We're working with Big Valley Wrestling in Las Vegas. So it's going to be a real thing. So stay tuned for that. Tune into my podcast, the Come On Man podcast. You can see this right here on my flag. Come On Man podcast. It's available on YouTube and wherever you like to listen to podcasts. My guest on Monday is my 3% brother, Jose from Chile. He's like 5'5", could deadlift like 500 pounds. You would never tell just by looking at this guy. But the thing is about Jose is like, you can't tell him that he can't lift that much weight because he believes he can. And because he believes he can, he fucking can. You know what I mean? He's that kind of guy. So it's a good conversation. We're going to talk about, lifting weights and mental health and all that kind of stuff on Monday. I have episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now. So Wednesday and Friday mornings, I do it live on YouTube. So check those out. And then otherwise, get on my email list.comeonmanpod.com. I'll drop it in the chat here. But I'm giving away a free PDF with 20 dating app openers to capture a girl's attention in the first 7 characters, because most women are looking at dating apps and they're reading messages in the preview pane. They're not even opening your messages. And if you can't capture her attention, she's not going to get back at you. You know what I mean? So those should help you out with that. And then I'll also send you some free stickers when you sign up for that as well. And I'm not spamming people. It's really just a hedge because I'm on my 3rd TikTok account. Like, I know what it's like to be deplatformed. And the only thing that us content creators have control over is our email lists, right? Like, we don't control these platforms like YouTube and stuff like that. So this is how we could get in contact with you when the powers that be don't like our red pill messages.
Exactly. Thank you, Paul. We really appreciate that. Let me drop in the chat, guys. I'm going to go ahead and close it out real quick here. Thank you for joining the Dragon Ship today, guys. Really, really appreciate it. And for me, guys, look, this is the hardcover of A Dominant Masculine Presence, guys. You want to project something amazing out into the future? Read this book. You can get it on Amazon.com, get the soft copy, working on the audios right now. And of course, you can find me at becomedurable.com and always here on the Dragon Ship. We appreciate everybody that's come in, and we will lead you guys out. Have a great Saturday and go get yourself a hobby. Skull.
Masculinity is in crisis. What are we to do? We need to acquire a dominant masculine presence. Now available on Amazon. Masculinity is in crisis. Men's masculine behaviors and traits have been suppressed by popular culture. Why has it become so popular to shame, guilt, insult, masculinity, and masculine behaviors? After 50 to 70 years of this has resulted in a very large subset of men who have become weak, useless, and crisis. Pathetic state for boys and men that leads to depression and violent despair. A dominant masculine presence addresses this very dilemma for the individual man, and it firmly establishes why this is what is desperately needed by the individual man today. In this book, clearly defined masculine traits and behaviors and the emotional durability provided by traditional masculinity are presented as a guide to what every man should embed into his identity. Putting these principles and behaviors into practice will motivate and direct your path step to step to create for yourself an authentic, dominant masculine presence. Looking for quality Rule Zero merchandise, the Dragon Ship merchandise, and fantastic artwork for power linemen? Search no further than Redbubble, RP Thor. Let's take a look at what is available today. Looking at these artworks, you will find the highest quality artwork specific to linemen or to Rule Zero that feature each and every one of the current Rule Zero members, from Troy, Aaron, Rollo, Ryan, Paul, John, Jack, Sterling, Thor, Paul, and Glenn. As well as you have these fantastic designs for power linemen available on t-shirts, available on hats. As you can see here, amazing amount of artwork, all done by RP Thor by hand and or on multiple media. So here we go. You can get the dad hat, you can get the mouse pad. The Active t-shirt personally is my favorite, and very, very high quality. So what are you waiting for? Let's get back and let's visit RP Thor on Redbubble for your Rule Zero merchandise and your Power Lineman merchandise. High quality stuff. I mean, look at this art. Until next time, I'm RP Thor.